Thank you. Well, I'm pleased to be here today to talk to you about the project. I did have the opportunity to talk to you about the project in June, and since that time we have completed the feasibility study, chosen a region, and I'll go through the results that we have to date. So I wanted to talk just briefly about the project objectives, and it's to implement a PRRS area regional control elimination project. And some of the slides I've used for producers, and so the important part that I always like to make is that this is a voluntary program. And so our target is to have greater than 90% producer participation. And we want to improve the communications and share the knowledge, so we're looking at improving biosecurity and disease control, and we're looking at doing that within the whole industry as far as Ontario is concerned. And we've been communicating across Canada as well. So we want to work towards adoption of disease exclusion for the on-farm biosecurity protocols for the participating farms. And so to change or maintain the PRRS status of the farms in the area, so if they're positive with viral shedding, change it to no viral shedding, and maintain the negative status or non-shedding. So just to orient you a little bit, this is the Niagara Peninsula. So at the top you'll see the north is Lake Ontario. It then moves from Hamilton down what we call number 6 all the way to Port Dover. Then on the bottom of the south is Lake Erie, and then it's over to Niagara Falls following the Niagara River, and then it's the Canada-US border. It's approximately 1,400 square miles. So that is the area that we're looking at for our first pilot project. So we do have a producer participation agreement, and I just gave you some key statements that are outlined in the agreement, that the diagnostic samples can be submitted from pigs at my farm, that the PRRS herd status, the virus sequence information, and the clinical and production information will be shared. So the producers know and agree to this. I understand that my PRRS status, virus characterization, and summary data will not be kept confidential. And since we are mapping it, we also have a sign-off from Ontario Pork that agreed that the property owner, which in some cases is not the same as the owner of the pigs, will release the premises ID, location information, and coordinates. And that's how we're mapping the area. So to date, and I validated we have 76 sites. And so I'll go through, in terms of herd sow size, we have a total of 21 sites that have sows, and that's 12,000 sows. And 6 that are farrow to wean, varying from 15 sows to 3,000 sows, 6 farrow to feeder. We have 6 farrow to finish from 100 to 350 sows in total, and 3 that are farrow to part finish from 350 to 635 sows. So we have a total of 7 standalone nurseries, again varying from a size of 800 to 3,200 head, and significant number of finishing. So 43 sites. But the largest finishing barn is only 2,100 head, and that was something we looked at as being important. We do have 12 finishing sites with 2 barns per site, and currently there's over probably 72,000 finishing spaces. Wean to finish, again, we have 3 sites, and the largest would be 2,500. I put 2 sites that are unknown because I couldn't categorize them. I know they're there, but I don't know what type of production they have. But there would be small sites. And I do know that we have 9 incoming weaner pig sources, so they're coming in from outside the area. So currently, we're targeting 90%. We have 55 sites that represent 26 producers that I have signed agreements from. So I've got signed participation agreements from them. I have verbal agreements from 8 producers that represent 16 sites. So I've talked to them, but I've yet to have the signed agreement, but I do believe we will have those. And in terms of unknown agreement, positive or not, there's 5 sites that we still have to contact, so that I'm working on that. So the other things we're looking at in overall is a biosecurity protocol. So working with our service providers to look at enhanced biosecurity protocols for them within the region. And also we're going to be doing a PRRS risk assessment. So we're going to utilize that to assess the biosecurity practices on farm or per site and identify the risk factors on that site for PRRS transmission. And then we'll go ahead and design an on-farm biosecurity control and virus elimination strategy. So right now we're doing an initial assessment of the PRRS status of all the sites in the region. So we're looking at the PRRS prevalence, and we'll be determining the PRRS strains that are involved. And the site sampling and PAVDRAB survey is only done once the producer participation agreement has been signed. So this is how we're doing the sampling. It's being done at a 90% confidence level and a 10% population prevalence level. So on average, 22 PRRS ELISA samples for most of the sites, but we do have flexibility in special situations. And we have decided that all sites will be tested. Some of them will just be to determine that they are seropositive, they have been exposed, but we will be testing all the sites. And if there has been a PRRS test within the last 6 months, then we'll be using those results from the last PRRS test in that case. So the first site was blood tested on September the 14th of this year, and to date we have 28 sites that are tested, 16 are PRRS negative, and 12 that are PRRS positive. We do still have some sites that have been doing routine testing because they're genetic multipliers. I just have yet to actually put them into the spreadsheet, but that is ongoing. So I'll just go through, there's 5 area maps and just explain what I've mapped. Right now those are the sow herds. Green is negative, red is positive, and blue is unknown, to show you within the region of the participating herds that I have coordinates on. These are all the growing pigs, so you can see the nursery, same color scheme, as well as the finishing. And this is the sows, the nursery, and the finishing together. Then what I wanted to do was look at, I asked our person who was mapping them to pick a negative sow herd and then do a 5-kilometer buffer and a 10-kilometer buffer to get an idea of just, if looking at a relatively dense area, what is around that particular sow herd. Now, it's also important to know the herd because some of those sites do belong to that particular sow farm. And then the other thing that I thought would be very interesting is to look at the sites where pigs are originating from outside the area. So they're either going into nursery barns or they're going into finishing barns. And you can do, right now we know that we have some of those sites that are negative, some that we're just testing, and we know one that is positive coming in from outside the area. So for the funding, this is what our producers, the part of what the project is funding is the sampling and diagnostic costs, the PAVDRAB or PRRS risk assessment per site or per system, and the design of the on-farm biosecurity, the control, and the virus elimination strategies. So ongoing, we're having quarterly neighborhood meetings and a report to the region and industry. And yesterday we had a large, we call it Big Bug Day, and we actually had 200 people attend, over 100 of which were producers from all the different counties. And we actually had a producer participation meeting in the morning talking about one of the other projects that supports this, the disease surveillance, and getting an idea in terms of communications and, you know, how should we communicate to the industry as far as disease alerts, self-reporting, movement control, that sort of thing. So it was a first reach out to the, and we had county presidents there to find out what they thought as far as a number of different issues. And once we have all the information, then we'll start with the control and our elimination strategy, and the monitoring will be ongoing. So the timeline we're looking at December the 30th, I would like to have the initial diagnostic survey complete. And we want to look at the site PRRS status mapped, and then we're going to look at the area PRRS status and assess that as an area. We will be doing individual PAVDRAB of the sites, of course. And then we'll continue to hold area and industry meetings. In January, I want to go back into the area because not all the producers, they're actually almost the farthest away from where the meeting was. We had some attend from the Niagara region, but we'll go back and have specific meetings. And the funding for this project and the supporting projects has been kindly provided by the Canadian Swine Health Board, Ontario Pork, the Ontario Ministry of Agriculture and Food and Rural Affairs, and the University of Guelph, the Animal Health Labs. And we've been particularly blessed with in-kind support from our partners as far as OSHAP, so in-kind and financial support as well, our industry partners. Thank you.